Well, good evening everyone and welcome to One Hub Racing. My name is Alex Lilliart, bringing you live and uninterrupted coverage here of both the qualifying and the race session for the final time in 2019, not on 2019 of course, because after this we do have our Christmas and New Year break, so we'll be away for a fortnight before we come back for round 15. So this is round 14 then, the historical Monza circuit in Italy, the fastest circuit that these drivers will be competing in this season, and you can expect a lot of slipstream and DRS usage in both qualifying and the race as well. We're just about to go to the track. Apologies for the start to the late stream and the overall lateness of the actual Prestige tier starting. It should have started about 7 or 8 minutes ago. Unfortunately, Samster, who hosts a lobby and is sort of the admin or coordinator for the Prestige tier, unfortunately he is away. He let us know about the best part of an hour ago he wasn't going to be here, so we've had to sort of rush around to try and find someone to host a lobby, get all the invites sorted out, so there has been a bit of a delay for that, which is why, as you can see on the right hand side, we've only got 13 drivers, which again is a bit disappointing. The numbers have been slightly down considering where they were at the beginning of the season. Hopefully that will pick up once Christmas and the New Year is over and done with. But we do have Louis here, at least our championship leader, so he's looking then to extend his championship lead with a slightly depleted grid. Just waiting now for all the drivers to sync up, and then we can go to qualifying, have a look at the weather as well to see what's going on in there. And so here we are then at Monza. This is one of the most popular tracks for the drivers as well, because it is relatively easy as well, but fine margins need to be made, and there is rain in the air. Look at that. I don't know if it's full wet tyres or intermediates, but you can certainly see the rain coming down. The fans, though, they're not being disappointed. You can see them up there on the gantry above the pit boxes. So we do have 13 drivers. I'm not going to go through the list of names of people that are missing, but there are 3 qualifying bans out there for various misdemeanours in the last couple of races. Toxic Tomato, who's not here, has got a qualifying ban. Lewis in a Toro Rosso, who is not here, has a qualifying ban, and I believe possibly Wommer in the McLaren, who is here, as you can see there, he has a qualifying ban as well, but I could be wrong about that one, but the first 2 I'm definitely right. We do have a few other drivers missing, unfortunately. Like I said, Samster in the Renault's not here tonight. I believe he's been caught in floodwater somewhere, or his car won't start or something. He's stranded in the middle of nowhere, so he can't get home. We're also missing Onyx as well. There's Onyx in the Williams, Paris's teammate. He's having serious connection issues, so he can't get in there. We've got Sam Gamer. Sam Gamer then has just come on stream. He's going to do an outlap and an inlap for his qualifying ban, just to be able to load a setup. I believe we do allow the drivers to sort of do that, because we had Blizzard who had a qualifying ban a few weeks ago, and he went out for an outlap just to put a setup on. Lakitu's also come on stream saying it's dry tyres and the track will be dry as well in 10 minutes and for the entire race. So we just have a bit of a rain shower then, which is going to go away, which is why the driver's already on the dry tyres. But we might see some more competitive lap times as the session goes on, once the rain stops and obviously the air and track conditions do decide to improve. So bring up then all the details at the moment. Matt ran out on circuit for the Alfa Romeo team. 2 teams having their home race here, of course, Alfa Romeo and Ferrari. So Matt will be looking to put on a strong performance for himself and the team at their home race. We've also got Sam Gamer out there at the moment doing the outlap, inlap, just to get a set up on the car. Ella Yogurt in the Mercedes. Chapelele out on the intermediate tyres actually. So this is literally just an exploratory lap for the Racing Point driver. And we've also got our championship leader ILRT Louis out on circuit as well. Most drivers going on for soft tyres. Maybe a couple of have selected the hards at the beginning of this session. So then we'll have a look at the standings then, both the drivers and the Constructors' Championship. This is round 14, of course, so we're now into sort of the third part of the season, the final third of this season. And Louis still has a very, very commanding lead in the McLaren team. 260 points, 260, 104 ahead of Blizzard in the Red Bull. Onyx, who's not here tonight, is just 1 point behind. He's on 155, Blizzard on 156. And then we have VRT Midnight in the Racing Point, who is not here. Oh, he is here, so I should say he's in the pits. He's in 4th place on 112, and Paris in the second Williams in 5th place on 94. One driver still yet to score points, Toxic Tomato, who again is not here tonight. In the Constructors, 2 little battles still going on. McLaren lead the Constructors, 274 points. Williams in 2nd place, 249. Red Bull in 3rd on 231. And then the second little battle we have between Racing Point, Mercedes and Ferrari. A Racing Point going from strength to strength, 139 in 4th place, 118 for Mercedes, 117 for Ferrari. And then after that we have Alfa Romeo in 76, Renault and Toro Rosso both tied for 8th and 9th from 44, and then the Haas team in 10th place on just 39 points. So Sam has completed his exploratory lap to get a setup on the car and has retired from the session. So we've got Paris and Wommer coming around now to start flying lap. Chapelele is already halfway round the lap. Looks like he's coming into a couple of the first Lesmo corners. We'll try and find someone who's about to start a lap. Blizzard is just, where is he? Is he at the first chicane? He is at the first chicane. And we've got Louis then out on circuit at the moment as well. He's coming down to the second chicane in all of this. Not many corners here for these drivers to really be tested. The Lesmo corner is pretty simple really. The Ascari, well, it's difficult to get that absolutely nailed on. You can really improve your lap time if you have a clean line through there as well, but if you do extend even on the inside or outside, you'll probably pick up a warning or indeed lose your lap as well. The first couple of chicanes are very tricky as well. And Yogurt then sets the first lap time of 1:27.162. Matt Tibos second place, 1:27.630. We're about 8 or 9 seconds off the ultimate pace. So again, we'll be seeing these lap times tumble and fall as the session goes on. The rain is still falling, but as I've been told, it will be completely dry, or hopefully very dry, before the end of the session. So these laps at the moment are throwaway banker laps for these drivers. Chapelele on the intermediate tyres, clearly showing that it isn't really wet enough anymore for the wet tyres. 1:35.996. Louis then comes around the curve of Parabolica to complete his first flying lap. Does he complete it or come back into the pits? He's coming back into the pits, so he feels obviously it's not really pointless, or it is pointless I should say, going out there on circuit early part of this session. You're just going to be burning through your soft tyres. Might as well come back in to the pits, have a little fit about in the setup, wait a few minutes, go back out again. Blizzard then, he now does start his first flying lap then down the main straight. DRS active and open, 280 mile an hour. Brake as late as you can for the Variante del Rettifilio, the first chicane, which has been modified several times in the last 15 or so years. Out of it, up, short shifting up into third and then fourth gear as well. A little bit of slip there with the oversteer, as you can see. These conditions are still slightly challenging on these dry tyres. Now for the Curva Grande, easy flat in both dry and wet conditions. Over to the right hand side, heavy braking for the second chicane, the Variante della Roggia as well. Be very careful with the sausage curves on either side. Don't dip a wheel into the ground from the left hand side, you'll lose all your time. And now the two Lesmo corners, number 6 and number 7, turn 6 and turn 7. The first one can be taken a lot faster than the second one as well. Probably move down to fourth gear coming through it, even third there momentarily for Blizzard, but short shifting up into fourth, fifth and sixth to kill the rear wheel spin in these difficult conditions. Open up the DRS end for the second time around this lap, underneath the bridge up to the Variante Ascari, turns 8, 9 and 10. Again, you've got to be very respectful of the curbs here, don't extend, and you could lose it as well coming out the exit here. You get a bit of snap oversteer, just saw a little bit there having to be corrected by Blizzard, but still carrying on with his lap. Now down this another long back straight then to the final corner, turn 11, the Parabolica corner as well. You want to throw the car in with all your might. You can drag the car a little wide as well. All that green Astro on the left hand side you can run on. It does unstable the car just a little bit, but you can get away with it. But over to the right hand side for the shortest one to the line, and Blizzard sets the provisional pole time at 26.511. Looked like a relatively clean lap, couple of leery oversteering moments there, which is to be expected running the dry tyres in still these damp conditions. But Blizzard there completes his first flying lap for Red Bull at 26.511. Louis back out on circuit, he's gone onto the intermediate tyres, so it's a strange call there. Maybe again just doing a bit of tyre testing. A bit pointless because we know that the race is going to be fully dry conditions, and every other driver, as you can see, still in the pits. Good evening to each and every single one of you that's slowly filtering in onto stream. Not much action for the first 4 or 5 minutes of this session. I'm sure that once the rain does stop, and it looked like it has stopped now. Well, no, it's still coming down just a little bit, but I've been told that it will be dry before the end of this session. So the last 4 or 5 minutes, I think we'll be seeing a flurry of activity from all 12 drivers still competing in this qualifying session. So Louis then, with just over 10 minutes left of his qualifying session, he decided to go for another lap on these intermediate tyres. We've also got Bretster in the hards, he's out on circuit on the hard tyres. Lakita in the Mercedes on the softs, he's out on circuit. And also the Alfa Romeo of Matt Tibos is back out again for a second run. Sam Gamer, as you can see, is retired from the session. He does have a qualifying ban, but he went out on circuit just to do an outlap, just to dial in and lock in his setup. Make sure that he's all comfortable and ready to go for the race. Only 13 drivers and with Sam taking up a grid penalty. Well, to be honest, you know, if there was 20 drivers, he might struggle, but only 13 here, to be honest. He's still got a very good opportunity, as all the other drivers have, of scoring some good points as well. The first couple of laps are going to be tricky and difficult for these drivers. The last thing you want to do is fall away from the pack, because the slipstream in the DRS is, of course, very powerful around here, and you want to stay with the leaders if you can, and just basically just follow them around using the slipstream in the DRS, which you've seen plenty of times already in other races this season. Austria was a good example as well, where people were just happy to just stay in a line. We saw in the first dozen or so laps, Louis was comfortably leading that race and had a train of 5 or 6 cars behind him, separated by only about 4 or 5 tenths for the first dozen or so laps, and Louis was very comfortable just leading that field round. The rest of the field are very comfortable just following him, not making any mistakes and staying in that slipstream. So here comes Louis then to complete this flying lap. We've got a car off to the right hand side. That was Matt Tibos making a mistake on the exit of the Parabolica, and Louis then a 27.512, only a second off the pace of Blizzard, and he's gone quicker than Matt Tibos on the intermediate tyres. So that's slightly interesting. I wasn't expecting the intermediate tyres to be competitive, even though it is slightly raining out there. We've got the second McLaren of Wommer. He's now come out on circuit as well, but is it still raining out there, or is it stopped? Looks like it has almost stopped. There might be a couple of little drops coming here and there, but with 8 minutes left of the session, the conditions will now only start to improve. Midnight is the first driver to select a set of medium tyres. So Yogurt then out on circuit. He's on his outlap at the moment. Wommer, we know, is on his outlap. And Lakitu, is he starting? He's on a flying lap. He is on a flying lap then on the soft tyres. Looks like he's completed a couple of laps on this set. You can see the discoloration and the graining on the inner and outer walls. So he's now coming down to the Parabolica. 26.511 so far is the quickest time, but I'll be expecting that to drop down as the session goes on. It's Cohen, ever regular into the stream, just comes in to say hello, and hello, how are you? Hope you're enjoying your evening. And Lakitu then does take the first real competitive time with a 1 minute 20.701, but I'll be expecting lap times, the ultimate lap time, to possibly be in the 18s or 17s. So good indication there for the drivers that it's almost peak performance time, if you like, for the track conditions. Maybe another 2 or 3 minutes and we should be seeing the perfect conditions that these guys need. Still very overcast and cloudy, as you can see. Now the rain has dissipated, but the air and track temperature will continue to rise for the last 7 or so minutes of this session. And Karen just coming in there. So did the race in the Pinnacle Tier, went from P16 to P8, and he's good. So yeah, well done on carving your way through the field to pick up a couple of points here at Italy. And we might be seeing Sam Gamer try to do the same thing as well, as he'll be starting last with his qualifying ban from P13. So Lakitu then, provisional pole at the moment of a 20.7. Blizzard back out there at the moment as well, and Yogurt is just allowing the Red Bull driver through. We've also got Matt Tibos back out on the circuit onto the medium tyres. He's on an outlap at the moment as well. Calzo, who's joined the league a few weeks ago, but we haven't seen much of him. But he is here tonight as a sole representative of the Renault team, as Sam unfortunately is unavailable. We've also got Brettster out there as well on an outlap. Paris and Wommer now, I think, on flying laps here. So we'll jump on board with the McLaren driver as he exits Ascari down the back straight towards the final corner. Parabolica as well. Another corner just like Ascari, where if you get it right you'll find time, and if you get it wrong you'll lose a lot of time as well. We've already seen Matt Tibos, I should say. Oh, we've got a Renault off there to the side. Was that Calzo? It must have been Calzo. It was. So Calzo's lost it on the entrance to Parabolica. Wommer comes across the line, and now he takes provisional pole. And wouldn't he love to be able to start this race from pole position? A 1 minute 19.755. The lap times are now starting to drop. Let's try and find someone else on a flying lap. Matt Tibos is out there on the mediums. He's nearly 2 seconds up on his sector 1 time, and that will continue to improve as the lap goes on as well. Blizzard then coming down into turn 1. He's got Yogurt behind him, so Yogurt will be fancying his chances of a very quick lap time here if he can stay with that Red Bull. That will pull him and drag him all around this circuit. So where's Matt in all this? He is now coming up to complete sector 2. Let's have a look at his sector time. He needs to find about 7 or 8 seconds really. He's 5 seconds up, so this doesn't look too bad on the medium tyres. Paris now with 5 and a bit minutes left of this session. He now the first driver into the 118s with a 118.874. And I'll be expecting Matt to be very, very close to the 120s, maybe in the 119s, which won't be too bad considering he's on the medium tyres. So out of the Parabolic event, up to the line, then what is Matt going to do? Is he going to get into the 119s? He does, just a 19 9.84. P3 at the moment for the Alfa Romeo driver. Blizzard with a snap oversteer coming out of Ascari, followed very closely by Yogurt, who's been following this Red Bull. Blizzard slightly quicker, as you can see. He has pulled away, considering at the start of this lap they were very close together, but Yogurt will be getting a bit of an advantage with that slipstream. Might be losing a bit of it off the front downforce as he goes into his corners, obviously, of that Red Bull, only a few car lengths ahead, and Yogurt decides to abandon his lap. Blizzard carries on, 18.518, so he now takes provisional pole. Calzo has put in his first lap, but it would have been a bit of a grubby used set of soft tyres, considering he did spin in the Parabolica on his outlap, but he has up into 5th place on a 1 minute 20.567. Louis will be the big question though. There's 4 minutes left and he's still in the pits. Bretsteven is just backing off, I think, a little bit. Must have made a mistake somewhere, so he might be coming into the pits, or he's going to go again on the medium tyres. What is the Haas driver going to do? He's coming back into the pits. So Pablo then, he's now out there in a Toro Rosso driver, yet to set a lap time. He failed to set a competitive lap time last week at Belgium, and he paid the price having to carve his way through the field, so he's going to have to learn from his mistakes and make sure he does get one lap on the board. A 27.327 for Sector 1. Taking it fairly comfortable through the second chicane as well, not attacking those curves as aggressively as you could do. Now the 2 Lesmo corners. Nice line through Lesmo 1 and then through Lesmo 2 as well. You can use a bit of that curb, open up the DRS, and then slowly drift that car over to the right hand side, underneath the Rolex sign, underneath the old banking, the old Monza circuit as well. And Pablo Jogler here is backing off a little bit. This really isn't an all-out, balls-out qualifying lap from the Toro Rosso drive. He one's wide as well, coming through a sky with a little bit of the oversteer. And I think he might have just backed off a little bit, because he certainly lifted off the throttle a couple of 100 yards early, and he's doing the same here as well. So I think Pablo, then, this is just going to be another exploratory lap from the Toro Rosso driver. He might be gearing up for another go. Nope, he's coming back into the pits, which is the right thing to do, really, because he didn't have enough ERS. So Louis then, our championship leader, back out on the circuit. Yogurt immediately back out on circuit as well. Paris in P2, he's back out as well. So we've been seeing an influx of all of these drivers still in this session coming back out onto the circuit for one last do-or-die attempt. We've got It's Cohen and Bryn Evans has joined the stream, and they're having a little discussion amongst themselves about what happened earlier on in their race. So 2.5 minutes left of the session. Blizzard currently holds provisional pole with an 18.518. Paris on joining him on the front row of the grid. One other surprise so far up into P3, but there are some much quicker people behind yet to set real competitive lap times. I'm looking at the likes of Yogurt, Louis, Chapalele, Midnight, Pablo Jogler as well. I'll be expecting all of these guys to be comfortably in the top 10, even with just the 13 drivers here. And Yogurt very aggressive on his outlap through Ascari, trying to get as much heat and temperature into the tyres and brakes as he can before he goes for his final run. Louis is just a few seconds behind. Lakitu just coming into the Ascari as well. Chapalele remaining in the pits, but I think he might be just about to come out now. He is, as is, I believe, Wommer as well. So everyone pretty much coming back out on circuit. We've got Calzo just leaving his pit garage there. Pablo back out on circuit as well. So here we go then. Everyone coming back out. As Paris comes around the final corner, so he's just about to start his final lap. Wommer as well, just a few seconds behind. Hopefully these guys will be able to get round in time. Calzo has only just come out the pit lane, and there's 1 minute 23 left, so I don't think Calzo's not going to get round. I'll call it now. Calzo will not get round in time to start another lap. He's left that one way too late. So Lakiti then, he starts his final run. Where's Yogurt and all of this? He's already completed Sector 1, 2.3 seconds up on his previous best, considering his previous best was a 1 minute 27. Louis and all of this as well, he's in Sector 2, so Yogurt I think will be the first one across the line. Whereas Midnight in all of this, Midnight is still on an outlap. Bretster has just started his final lap. Pavel Yogler's halfway around his outlap as well, same for Blizzard. Paris is on his final lap as well. He's only a couple of attempts up from Sector 2 as well, so he needs to find a bit more if he wants to get ahead of Blizzard. Wommer is in Sector 2 as well, but we'll come back to Yogurt and Louis. These are the first two guys I think will finish their last qualifying run. Yogurt then down in 7th place for 1 minute 27, running a little wide through Parabolica. Louis just a couple of attempts back and a couple of car limps back as well, and Yogurt comes across the line. It's second place for the Mercedes driver at the moment. Louis only second place for him. It won't be another pole position for the McLaren driver, and that'll be good news to Blizzard. He may very well be keeping hold of that pole position. Paris, he can only get up into a P2 as well, 5 thousandths of a second away from the Red Bull of Blizzard. We've got Lakitu up into P5 as well. Wommer coming across the line to complete his qualifying run, and he did improve, but I think he's had an invalidation. So we've got Matt Tibossen, he is nearly half a tenth up in his previous best as well. Calzo has crossed the line, I think, and managed to get going. Somehow he must have straight lined a few chicanes in to get round in time. Shapalele, his session is over. Midnight is getting a nice toe from his own teammate behind. And we've got Bretster, he crosses the line up into P7 for the Haas driver. And look at that, Shapalele has pretty much abandoned his own qualifying attempt as there's a Wommer and Matt Tibos retire from the session. They cannot improve, and Midnight will be getting a nice toe from his teammate on the medium tyres as well. It's only good enough for P8, but he's on the medium tyres, so we need to come back to Pablo Jogler, see what he can do. He's coming out of a Ascari. Blizzard is just a couple of attempts behind as well. Paris has backed off, we know he's done. Louis backed off, we know he's done. Yogurt's backed off, Lakitu's backed off. So really, it's only going to be between Paris, Paris is backed off, hasn't he? So it's pretty much going to be between Blizzard to see if he can improve and Pablo Jogler to see if he can spring a surprise here and go from the bottom of the field all the way to the front. Up to the line, it's not going to be good enough, I don't think. It's only good enough for P6, and Blizzard knows he has that pole position locked down. Everyone else out on circuit, well, I think it's just Calzo, who's 8 tenths up in his previous best. It's only going to be good enough for a mid 119, so he's nowhere near a mid 118 unless somehow he pulls out the mother and fathers of all final sectors here at Monza, which is pretty much only one corner. Up to the line comes the Renault driver. It's P9 for him. Yogurt back into the pits. We know that Lakitu has backed off. The same for Louis as well. And that's the qualifying session here. It started off in damp conditions and it got progressively drier and quicker as the session went on, and it's Blizzard then that has taken pole position here at Monza. Paris joins him on the front row, and our championship leader Louis can only manage P3, but I don't think he'll be overly disappointed with that. Both the Mercedes drivers of Yogurt and Lakitu in 4th and 5th. So just to confirm, and Blizzard taking pole position by the slimmest of margins, 5 thousandths of a second ahead of the Williams of Paris. Championship leader Louis then 2 tenths off in P3, just ahead of Yogurt and Lakitu for Mercedes. Then in P6 it's Pablo Jogler, Wommer, Bretster, Calzo and Midnight in 10th on the medium tyres. Outside of it we've got Matt Tibos, Shapalele, who never set a competitive lap time, and Sam Gamer in 13th, who had that qualifying ban. I'm going to take a very short break here. I'll be back with you guys during the formation lap. So the Red Bull of Blizzard leads the field round on the formation lap, and he is in second place in the championship, just over 100 points behind Louis. Most would say that the championship is pretty much already over and done with. Louis has been ever dominant so far this season, but it's still mathematically possible for Blizzard to pass and win this title, and he's doing everything right so far tonight by taking pole position. Louis down in P3, Paris in the Williams, ever present at the front of the field between them in P2. The tyres then on the left hand side, of course, as per real F1 rules and and regulations. Whatever tyres you ran when you set your quickest lap inside the top 10 are the tyres that you are designated to start the race on. So all of these tyres inside the top 10, including midnight on those medium tyres, will have a little bit of extra wear on them. Just outside the top 10 then, only 3 drivers outside of it. Matt Tibos and Shapalele going for a fresh set of medium. Sam Gamer locking himself in 13th place on a fresh set of softs. Should be soft, medium, soft should be the strategy here, unless I'm completely off the mark. And it's going to be crucial. First couple of laps. First chicane on lap 1 obviously will be a very high tension moment for all of these drivers. They don't want to snatch a break and plough into the car in front, damage their front wing. If you have to make a pit stop in the first couple of laps to fix accident damage, you will be away from all of the other drivers as well, and hoping and praying for a safety car to catch back up to the rest of the field. We know that these guys, or should anyway, even with a depleted field, should pretty much be stuck together for the majority of this race. The pit stops will change that as well when different drivers come in for different tyres on different laps. But for the first dozen or so laps, these drivers, certainly at the front of the field, should be very close together, using of course the slipstream and the DRS, which is all so powerful around this historical Monza circuit. The field now coming back onto the grid hatchings. Paris has overtaken Blizzard for some unknown reason, but that will obviously reset itself once the AI cars line up on the positions they should. And it'll be Blizzard then will have the racing line down into turn 1, but he's got to be very careful of the likes of Louis, Yogurt and Lakitu behind, because they'll be getting a nice slipstream tow from the cars on the front row of the grid. Ideally, pole position isn't the position you want on the run to turn 1. We'll see how it all unfolds. 5 lights go out, and away the drivers finally go. Now we're holding on the grid. Let's go. Can we go? Are we going? That was the longest hold in my life, but here we go now. Blizzard's had a poor one, I think, and Louis straight away through the middle of it takes the lead from row 2. A fantastic start by the McLaren driver. Now they all thunder down into turn 1. There's contact already, debris off, and there's a bit of contact there as well between Yogurt and Paris, and Blizzard, the poleman, and he's had a poor start and he's fallen all the way down into 4th position. Pablo's up into 5th, Wama 6th, Lakitu's lost position as well, down into 7th place. Sam from the back of the field has already got past both the racing points up into 11th place, and it's Louis then that leads. Paris, Yogurt, Blizzard in 4th position, Pablo in 5th, Wama the 2nd, McLaren in 6th as well, as they all thunder through the second chicane. Contact there with Bretster and someone else, so he's lost a couple of extra positions as well, and Sam Gamer then all the way up into 9th position, up behind the Renault of Calzo, and already losing time with the guys at the front of the field, so we've got to sort themselves out and catch back up as quickly as possible. Matt then into 10th place on those medium tyres, and Bretzter's outside of the points now on those softs. We've got Lakitu and Wama exchanging positions ahead, both the racing points in 12th and 13th, but through Ascari for the first of 27 attempts. Louis then from P3 on the grid has taken the lead even before the braking zone for the first chicane. Paris in 2nd, Yogurt in 3rd, Blizzard very close behind as they come down to the Parabolica. Late braking by these guys. Make sure you don't snatch your brake and run a bit wider, and Yogurt's doing exactly that. Nice tighter line from the Red Bull Blizzard. He's so close to the back of that Mercedes, but he's going to get a tow from the Williams as well. And look at that, they're evenly matched on the pace. Blizzard is just a bit too far ahead. Now he manages to slot back inside, and Yogurt defends the inside. He's in the middle of a circuit, and Blizzard's going to have to back out of that one. Wama in the pits then. He obviously was the driver that made contact on the run down to turn 1 on the opening lap. We've got Bretster and Matt Tibos exchanging positions, and Matt's off the circuit, picks up a 5-second penalty for corner cutting as well. So it's all kicking off at the back of the field at least, and Bretster then being pushed down into 10th place. Midnight and Shapalele then 11th and 12th, going long on the medium tyres, and Wama then he's also selected the medium tyres and had a front wing change as well. So Louis then even halfway around lap 2 has a 1.4 second lead over the Williams of Paris. He's got Yogurt and Blizzard very close behind. The racing points are exchanging positions, 11th and 12th behind. They'll look to help each other as they try to move their way through the field. And Blizzard still ever present, ever close to the back of that Mercedes. Pablo holding on at the moment. Lakitu's dropping back a little bit. And then we've got the likes of Calzo with Sam Gamer behind him as well, 7th and 8th. And they've dropped Matt Tibos and Bretster. So the back of the field are starting to have a bit of early field spread here. Calzo then stays to the right-hand side. As Sam pulls out of that slipstream down to the Parabolica. He's on the wrong line really. You want to be on the inside for this corner if you can. He might try the switch back on the exit of the corner if he can. We'll jump on board with the Red Bull drive, but a good exit by the Renault of Calzo, who starts to streak away. Moves over to the right hand side already to try and disrupt the airflow to the Red Bull driver behind. Lap 3 of 27. The laps come thick and fast. Midnight in the pits to fix accident damage as well. So he's now going to be out of the loop. And it's a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So his evening is going from bad to worse. Shapalele, meanwhile, managing to get past Bretster down into the first chicane. So 1 racing point now back inside the points. The other one, unfortunately, in the pits, having a new front wing change. Number 13, unlucky for some. Certainly unlucky for Midnight so far tonight. As him and Wommer are going to probably have to work together now to try and catch back up. It's going to be difficult though. There's going to be no one else around them. And Louis then just holding just outside, agonisingly just outside of that 1 second window that Paris wants to be in. Just 1.1 as they come across the DRS line. Yogurt will have it, Blizzard will as well. Pablo holding on. Top 5 as you see it. And they've got Lakito on his own at the moment in 6. You just see the Mercedes in the background there. Just flashing into screen was the yellow and black Renault of Calzo in 7th place. He's still got Sam relatively close behind him. Everyone else further behind are all spread out by a few seconds. So down to the parabolic event. It looks like Yogurt's quite close to the back of Paris. Louis again just outside of that DRS range for Paris to take advantage of, and I think Paris might be coming under attack here from the Mercedes driver. Will jump on board of Blizzard. Is he close enough? He's not, so we'll come back up to these guys then, and Paris doesn't even attempt to defend it. Oh, and Yogurt's made a mistake. Yogurt straight lined the chicane, and he's taken out the styrofoam as well. He's going to have to back off so he doesn't pick up a penalty. Oh, he has indeed anyway. Even though he's lost a couple of positions, he still picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so he's already ETL'd a few times, and Pablo Yogler 2 wheels on the grass as they come round the outside. Now into the second chicane, and Pablo there just twitching and weaving around heavy on the brakes, and Yogurt there outbraked himself into the first chicane, and the move that was looking good for second place has now seen him pick up a 3-second time penalty and drop all the way down into 5th as well. So all that hard work of trying to catch and get past Paris is being undone. He's going to have to do it all again, but he's going to have to get past Pablo and Blizzard first before he even tries to have another go at that Williams. And all of this is good news for Louis, who's pulled another few temps out on this lap. 1.5 now on lap 4 of 27. Further back, we'll have another look, see what's going on. Calzo still got Sam close behind him. Matt Tubos a couple of seconds back in 9th, losing the back end of a car into the wall as well. And I don't know if that's a terminal DNF, but he's certainly destroyed that front wing. Too much speed coming out of the Ascari chicane. He's lost the back end, spun the car around, which is all too common, but we see in many league races. And the Alfa Romeo driver is going to be in the pits at the end of his lap for a new front wing. It might promote Wommer up into 11th place. We'll have to wait and see. But a bad mistake there by the Alfa Romeo driver, who decides to intentionally put it into the pit lane wall, which I've caught on stream, and you will probably be reprimanded for that. So Matt Tibos then, on purposely, I should say, crashes and retires from the race, and now his car is stuck on the circuit. I really hope the likes of Wommer manage to take avoiding action and don't go through him or hit him. Meanwhile, up front, we've got moves going on. Oh, Yogurt spun. What's happened here? Yogurt spun. I believe it's at the second chicane. So what's happened here is his car okay? Has he got any damage? I'm not too sure, but he's tumbling down the order. Where's Bretster and all this? Bretster might be able to get past. Indeed, he does. And Yogurt then all the way down into 10th, and he leaves the session in disgust. He's obviously made contact with someone, and his car's being reset backwards a few lengths. I'm not too sure what happened there. So Yogurt then, he leaves the session, retiring on track. Matt Tibos intentionally crashed as well. So already down to just 11 runners then. I can only assume there was contact with possibly Pablo, because that would have been the next target for Yogurt. But Louis won't care. The yellow flags have been out all around the circuit for the last lap or so. And now coming to complete lap 5 into lap 6. He holds a 2.1 second lead over Paris, who's now got Blizzard up behind him. DRS on that Red Bull. It's a good top end speed there from the Williams driver. Maybe Blizzard is just running just a little bit more wing, helping him around the slightly lower traction zones here, for example. We'll see what his exit is like out of this chicane. It's not too bad. Obviously you get that yo-yo effect where you catch the car in front when you're braking for a heavy braking area like the first couple of chicanes, and then that car in front pulls away again because obviously they're the first one on the throttle before you. So you get that yo-yo effect, which is quite obvious around a circuit like Monza, because there's only a few times really where there are corners, I should say. Most of it is long straights, as we know. So I think Blizzard's quite comfortable just following Paris for now, as he dips a wheel on the dirt coming out of Lesmo. But Paris has good top end speed here, so Blizzard's going to have to think of something else here to try and get past. Might have to be just a bit more aggressive than he usually is into Parabolica to try and close up on the back of that Williams. But of course, going into that corner, if you are close behind, you will get that dirty, draggy, washy, bad air over the front wing with all that disrupted air coming off the back of that Williams as well. So it's going to be difficult to close up and maintain that distance as well, coming out of the likes of the Parabolica here. There's another tighter line from Blizzardo in the Red Bull. Paris just running a little wide, and Blizzard trying to stay in the wheel tracks as best as he can. We've got Lakitu and Pablo Jogler. Pablo Jogler spun. Don't know if that was contact with Lakitu, so another mistake by a driver out there, and he now drops down the order as well. And all of this, Sam from the back of the field after his qualifying ban now finds himself in the dizzying heights of a top 5 position, and he's made that pretty much by the likes of well, half the field making their own mistakes. We've got Yogurt and Bretster exchanging positions. But that's what's happened with Bretster here. He's spun and he's hit the wall as well. So these guys are really, and Bretster's immediately out of the race as well. So I'm not too sure what happened to Yogurt. Oh no, Yogurt's left us. Oh, and contact there, and more contact. What is going on with these guys at the back of the field today? Bretster retired on track. His car didn't ghost. Wommer's come around the corner and careered right into the side of that Haas driver, and it's affected poor old Midnight as well. He's got a damaged front wing, and that is why we tell these drivers, do not retire on track, because the ghosting system sometimes fails and your car will move about under AI controlled, and if someone tries to go past, they can make contact, and it's exactly what's happened here. Bretster has retired on track, and poor old Warmer and Midnight had nowhere to go. Warmer hit the car into the wall out of the race, and poor old Midnight has got a circle round now with no front wing. And this first 7 laps of this race really has been quite embarrassing from a lot of these drivers. We've seen Pablo make mistakes, we've seen Yogurt make mistakes and leave the session. Midnight's made mistakes. Bretster's retired on track and caused a crash as well. Blizzard and Paris exchange positions finally over P2 and P3. Bit of a love tap there from Paris as well, but Blizzard wouldn't have liked that. And he picks up a 3-second time penalty for it as well. That might be disputed after this race. Blizzard then got passed by Paris into the braking zone and just gave the Williams driver a bit of a love tap, a bit of a bump and run, if you like. Forced Paris to take avoiding action over the chicane. And not only has Paris picked up a 3-second time penalty for it, but he's lost a position as well. And karma is being given back to Blizzard there as he makes a mistake at the second chicane and picks up a 3-second time penalty of himself. So, since the start of this race then, Louis, just to recap for everyone that is joining now, Louis jumped up. Oh, what's going on with Blizzard there? Very under control coming out of the second Lesmo. These guys really need to calm down. But Louis then, from O2, P3, made a great start after a delayed start once the lights went out. Jumped straight ahead between Paris and Blizzard to take the lead of this race. And then Blizzard and Paris have been disputing over second and third rather aggressively for the last few laps. Yogurt made a mistake, spun himself down and then left the session, rage quit the session. We also had Matibos damage his front wing and make a pit stop. Bretster retired on track on the exit of the Parabolica. His car did not ghost after he did that, and poor old Wommer had absolutely nowhere to go, crashed into him out of the race. Midnight crashed into him as well in the pits now for a new front wing. Pablo Jogler has also had a spin as well. Calzo has had a spin, and now the leaders are in the pits. Louis, Blizzard and Paris all going on to the medium tyres. Louis rejoins in the lead of the race, and Blizzard does keep that P2 as well. So Lakitu then now takes the lead of this race, and he'll be making a pit stop in the next couple of laps. Sam Game event, remember he had a qualifying ban, started this race in P13, and now with not even half the race done, he's all the way up into P2. But he is off sequence, he needs to make a pit stop. Same for Calzo in P3. We know Chappellele would be going long starting this race on those medium tyres. And if we come back to Louis, Blizzard and Paris, they've just made a pit stop from first, second and third off of the softs onto the medium tyres. And both Wommer and Midnight have just recently come on stream to express their displeasure at what took place a couple of laps ago, and I wholeheartedly understand. Retiring on track is a big no-no in one hub racing. You don't do it because the reason is your car may not ghost. The AI takes control to move the car off the circuit. It gets in the way of the other racers. They sometimes have nowhere to go, and that is why we ask the drivers, if you do want to rage quit, if you do have enough and want to leave the session, pull the car into the pits, retire on track. Yes, it might bring out a virtual safety car or a safety car once the car comes on circuit, but it will move off to the side of the track, not get involved in everyone that is actually trying to attempt to finish the race. Unfortunately, Bretster did not do that. He retired on track, and I'm pretty sure the rule book is going to be thrown at the youngster in the Haas after this race is done. My commiserations to both Midnight Midnight and Wommer, their races have been completely ruined because of the silly actions from Brettster. More pit stops are taking place then. These are the other soft runners of Lakitu, Sam Gamer and Calzo now coming into the pits, and the order stays the same between all three of them. So Yogurt, we know, is out of this race. He's left the session. So Calzo is in 7th place. Pablo Yogla is in 8th. Midnight is a long, long way back in 9th and may very well be a lap down as his teammate now takes lead. No, Midnight is just about a minute behind. Oh, and Chapelani's lost it on the exit and he's in the wall and our race leader is out. What is going on in this race? I've got to cut away from that. That is giving me a seizure. But he's lost it on the exit of the second chicane. And the Racing Point driver, who was looking good, going long in this race on the medium tyres, who's the only driver out there still remaining on the medium tyres from the start of this race, has lost it on the exit of the second chicane. And it's another retirement here at Monza. We are in danger of only having about 5 or 6 people finish this race. And you can see there now on the left-hand side, this is now the true order of this race. Lap 10 of 27. We've lost half the field already. We didn't have that many numbers to start with. So Louis leads 6 tenths ahead of Blizzard, who's now starting to close that gap up. So we might have a nice little tasty battle for the race win. Paris has lost a couple of seconds somewhere. He's back in 3rd. Lakitu is in P4, and that's a true P4 as well, as the lap times start to chop and change between Louis and Blizzard. Sam Gamer on his own in P5. The same for Calzo in 6. Yogurt, we know, is out of this race. So it'll be Pablo Yogla that is in P7, and Midnight will slowly move up the order into first P8 once he manages to get past, well, P9 once he manages to pass Chapelele, who retired pretty much just here. And there we go, up into P9, and then Midnight will slowly hunt down the disconnected car of Yogurt for what will be a lowly P8. 13 drivers started, technically 8 remain. We're not even at half distance. So much has happened already, and I'm pretty sure the stewards are going to have a busy night sorting all the mess out that's taken place so far in the Prestige tier. Louis leads 6 tenths ahead of Blizzard. Paris valiantly holding on for P3. So almost at half distance then. You can see that on the left hand side of the interval times, everyone pretty much is evenly spread out. We can forget about Yogurt. We know he's pretty much out of this race anyway. So Midnight is a long, long way back in P9, which is P8. The rest of the field, you can see they're all spread out by 3.5 to 4 seconds. So we only have one battle on track, but it is the battle that we all want to see. It's Louis and Blizzard, first and second in the championship, first and second on track. And Blizzard knows after this race there will be 7 races left to go, if my maths are correct. And at the moment Louis holds, I think it's a 104 point lead at the moment. So Blizzard can catch, well, he's caught, but if he can get past Louis, and picking up 3-second time penalties at Ascari every few laps isn't going to help his cause, then he can slowly start to reduce that deficit. Blizzard, of course, had pole position here. Louis, P3 on the grid, took the lead at the start almost instantaneously, and now managed to split between the Red Bull of Blizzard and the Williams of Paris, take the lead of this race. And he pulled away a couple of seconds as well, whilst everyone behind was sort of tripping over themselves. But since the pit stops have happened and Pablo Yogla is out of this race, where has he lost it? We'll jump on board with Yogurt. I think he's Pablo. I can only assume that Pablo has probably crashed on the exit of the Ascari chicane, which we saw Matt Tibos do many laps ago. Yellow flags are indeed at Ascari chicane. We'll jump on board with the disconnected car of Yogurt. I know it's over revving, and there on the left hand side you can see the battered remnants of that Toro Rosso. So indeed Pablo Yogla is another victim of the oversteering moments as Blizzard shortcuts the second chicane, as he's trying to put more and more pressure on this McLaren of Louis. So Pablo Jogler, another driver then to fall foul of the oversteer moment on the exit of the Ascari chicane, spun to the inside wall, hit the wall, damaged his car, and his race unfortunately is over. Midnight picks up a 3-second time penalty. It won't change too much, he's all the way down in P9. Blizzard then has 6 seconds worth of penalties, we know that much. I don't think Louis has anything at the moment, and both of these drivers would have been frantically on the phone to their engineer asking about the car in front or behind. How many time seconds worth of penalties does he have? Is there any point in trying to attack? And I think as it stands, Blizzard has 6, well definitely has at least 6. Louis I don't think has any. Paris has 3 seconds behind as well. He'll know that Blizzard probably has 6. So I think Paris might do a late race charge here to try and catch back up and try to get past Blizzard for P2. But again, into lap 14 and 27. Now finally into the second half of this race. So much has happened already. And with the DRS as well, Blizzard just gaining, coming down into the braking zone. Not confident enough to try and send it up the inside into turn 1. And Louis then with a good exit out of the first chicane. Now coming round to the second chicane, the Variante della Roggia. He'll be braking underneath the Pirelli sign then. And again, be very respectful of them curbs, trying to run too wide. Louis does just a little bit. Left rear wheel just picked up a little bit of gravel. Now into the Lesmo corners, Lesmo number 1. And then Lesmo number 2, which is a bit tighter. It used to be back in the 90s for all of those out there that are in their 30s like me. It used to be pretty much flat, the second Lesmo, but it was tightened up after, of course, the accidents in 1994 that claimed the lives of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger. A lot of circuits that were on the Canada back then that are on the Canada now went through significant safety changes, and Monza was one of them. The Lesmo corners were tightened up and made a lot safer and a lot slower as well. But Louis then leads at the moment still, 4 tenths ahead of Blizzard. They are slowly but consistently pulling away from Paris, who may already have settled down into a rhythm to stay in that P3. Louis then just moving about the circuit, trying to break the toe as much as he can, with Blizzard behind. DRS again, gaining all the time down the main straight. This is the best opportunity for him to try and get past into turn 1, just having a little bit of a look. But again, we've seen this before, we saw it at Germany. Blizzard was very happy to just sit behind Louis until the very end of the race, but the difference here is Blizzard has 6 seconds worth of penalties, so sitting behind each and every lap is not going to help the Red Bull's cause, and he may very well have already given up on trying to win this race and maybe force Louis into a mistake to try and reclaim that 6 seconds back. Louis again this time just kicking up a bit of gravel on the exit of the second chicane into the Lesmos yet again. Lap 15 of 27. The laps do tumble down here, so we'll move away from these two at the moment, see what's going on further back. Paris, we know, pretty much safe and secure in P3. The same for Lakita as well in P4. Haven't seen much from him since the start of this race. Sam has been up and down the order. He's now running in P5 after starting last after a qualifying ban. So I think even though half the field have retired or made mistakes, I think he will still be happy with the fact that he's on course to pick up a good handful of points here tonight. Calzo as well. He's made a few mistakes in both qualifying and the race. He's pretty much safe and secure in P6. He's just going to tumble the laps down now, but he might change. Sam has a 3-second time penalty. We know Yogurt has left the session, so Midnight has 12 or 13 laps to reduce that 25-second deficit to try and claim a P7. And then everyone else further down, Pablo Jogler, Chapelele, Wama, Bretster, Mactibos have all retired from this race through either their own fault or others. And down into the first chicane again. Blizzard is close enough to try and move, but he's not fancying it. He might leave it late. Well, again, he might just be happy to just sit there in the wheel tracks of that McLaren driver and maybe try to force him into a mistake. Maybe Louis will put a wheel on the gravel coming up the second chicane again, and it might put the McLaren driver into a spin, and then Blizzard will say thank you very much. So he needs to find 6 seconds, get past Louis and find 6 seconds to win this race. And as the laps tumble down, it's looking increasingly unlikely that's going to happen. Louis, we've seen before all season, he's happy to lead at the front of the field and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars close behind him. He doesn't get pressured, he doesn't get unfazed by the fact that there are quicker cars behind him, and he's quite happy to just focus on what he's doing, keeping it clean, keeping it smooth, looking after the tyres, looking after the track limits. But running wide for Ascari certainly doesn't help, and he would have learnt by seeing other people retire there as well. But you've got to give the exit of that chicane there a bit of respect. You run too wide through there and get a bit of oversteer, it's difficult to control, it's certainly at high speed. And if Louis was to crash on the exit of Ascari and retire as well, what a turn up for the books that would be. But look at this, Blizzard is so close this time, and he's got to make a move this time. Indeed he does. Finally, Blizzard with the DRS does move into P1. Louis will immediately try to fight back, and now we will see if Blizzard can somehow pull away from Louis and start to increase that gap. Because Blizzard, again, as we've seen before, always quicker in the second half of this race. And so it's going to be up to the McLaren driver of Louis now to see if he can stay with the Red Bull driver. All he's got to do is stay with the Red Bull driver. He'll know, he'll have been on the phone to his engineer, he would have known how many seconds worth of penalties Blizzard has. And I'm pretty sure that Louis has none. Blizzard runs wide through Lesmo and almost loses it. Almost becomes another casualty of this race of attrition tonight, but he's managed to hold it on just well enough. Louis then with the DRS, is he going to sit behind or is he going to attack? He's clearly going to sit behind, so Louis then, he knows what he needs to do, and that's just stay with the Red Bull driver, and it'll be yet another race win for the McLaren driver, unless of course one or both of these guys decide to put it in the wall. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. We've seen so many mistakes already by a lot of the drivers out there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of these two make another one tonight. Just seeing the background there, Paris just holding on for P3 at the moment, and it probably will be a P3 because Paris has 3 seconds worth of penalties as well. So as it stands, if he didn't have anything, he'd jump Blizzard, but with that 3-second penalty as well, all we will do is just close up just a little bit. So Louis for DRS, thinking about a move up the inside. He is going for the move up the inside. He doesn't want to finish this race on track in P2. He wants to be the first one across the line, and these leaders exchange positions. And all this is doing is not helping Paris really, because these two at the front are pulling each other along. Akitu safe in 4th, Sam safe in 5th. Chapelele, who retired many laps ago, now leaves the session. As for Midnight then, less than 10 laps to go. He's brought the gap down to the disconnected yogurt to just 21 seconds. And Louis and Blizzard continue on their spirited little battle for P1 and P2 here at Monza as the laps start to tumble down at 18 of 27. So Louis and Blizzard continuing on, following each other around. I did see there, as I went away quickly to get a glass of water, that the yellow flags did pop up in Sector 2. Calzo has lost a lot of time, and indeed he's in the pits as well. So I think Calzo has made a mistake somewhere in Sector 2, possibly in the 2 Lesmos. He's hit the wall, he's coming into the pits for a set of soft tyres and possibly a new front wing change. Nope, he's not having that, so he's obviously had an off somewhere, destroyed those medium tyres, and he's now come back in for a set of softs. So Calzo might go for the fastest lap. Of course, in One Hub Racing, they have this unique rule where obviously if you finish inside the top 10 and you claim the fastest lap, the extra world championship point is yours. We all know and quite enjoy that rule, to be honest with you. But also for everyone outside of the top 10, as Pavis picks up his second 3-second time penalty, so his chances of taking P2 have completely gone at this point, and he might even lose his podium spot to Lakitu behind. So One Hub Racing essentially have a bracket number 2, a second bracket if you like, for fastest lap. So if you finish outside the top 10 but you claim the fastest lap out of all of those classified finishes outside the top 10, you also gain an extra world championship point. It won't happen tonight, of course. We've got less than 10 runners still circulating rounds, and that's been the case for the last few races. But in the earlier part of the season, when we still had, let's say, 4 or 5 laps left to go, we still had 14 or 15 runners still going, it was all too common to see the guys in 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th all pit in for a set of soft tyres and then battle it out amongst themselves to claim an extra world championship point. Essentially, it's a rule brought in by One Hub Racing, basically saying, look, if there's 5 laps to go, you're 2 laps down in 14th, nothing to fight for, don't just quit. Don't just crash and leave the session. Pit in, take a set of soft tyres, go for the fastest lap. If you claim it in that second bracket, you get an extra championship point. So it is feasible for the car to finish the race in 20th and still pick up a championship point. It won't happen tonight, of course. We've got less than 8 runners. Technically, we only have 7 because LR Yogurt has disconnected many laps ago. But Midnight's now being in the pits, probably seeing Calzo make the change into the soft tyres. Midnight fancies his chances at claiming another championship point. The fastest lap at the moment, we'll bring it up, and I believe it's over here, is held by Blizzard with a 1:21.823. So we'll have to keep one eye on the bottom part of the screen to see when Calzo and Midnight start setting lap times to see if one or both of them can set a fast lap here. So completing lap 20 of 27, 7 to go then. Louis and Blizzard again very close together, and yet again they're going to be exchanging positions. Nice and easy, nice and simple for both of these drivers. Louis doesn't move the car around. He knows that Blizzard's going to get past him down into turn 1, and Blizzard retakes the lead of this race. Sam Gamer now coming into the pits for a set of soft tyres. He knows that Calzo's a long way behind. He isn't going to catch Lakito ahead of him because Sam has too many penalties. So Sam, I think, is now in the pits for a set of soft tyres, and he is going to be our third driver going for the fastest lap. So there's a couple of things to talk about then. Obviously, this battle for the race lead, it's not over yet. You never know. The final lap, Louis could bin it into the wall and everything can completely change. And you've also got Paris and Lakito, even though they are 3 seconds apart. Penalties, I think, will see those positions reversed at the end. And we've also got Sam Gamer. No, in fact, he's come out on a set of mediums. So, okay, not too sure. If I was Sam, I would have pitted for a set of softs or just carried on. So he's gone for a set of mediums. So it's only between Calzo and Midnight then, really, to see if either of those can claim the fastest lap championship point. But Blizzard and Louis are still carrying on here. Paris has now completely dropped off that. He was about 3 seconds back at some point. And Lakito now corner cuts his way around Ascari and picks up a 3-second time penalty. So that battle for the final podium spot may very well now be over as well. So we come back up to the leaders then. Circulating around yet again, Blizzard, new fastest lap, 1:21.808, who's obviously tried to turn the wick up at this point, trying to pull away from that McLaren of Louis and extend some sort of a gap. But Louis is wise old head on those young shoulders. He'll know that all he's got to do is just stick with that Red Bull driver, and he knows he'll be taking down another race win, another 25 World Championship points. Midnight then, a 1:27.880. The fastest lap point goes to the racing point as it stands. But where's Calzo in all this? He's a few seconds up the road. He's obviously already crossed the line. So we'll come back to Calzo then. We'll see if he can do it. We'll bring up the telemetry at least. Yep, he is pushing with the ERS. He's been saving the last few laps. So does Calzo now claim the fastest point? He doesn't indeed. He came across the line. We'll have a look at the lap times very quickly because let's be honest, there's not a lot going on out there, is there? So fastest lap so far, Midnight 1:20.7, Calzo 21.4. So he has improved his lap time as you would imagine, but he's still well over 7 tenths away from being able to claim that point. So looks like Midnight will take that one down. And again, Blizzard and Louis still very close together as the laps do tumble down. Louis with the DRS again. These two, I think, are quite happy to just exchange positions. I think at this point Blizzard pretty much has given up trying to win this race and trying to force Louis into a mistake. But Louis is not going to play your game. He knows what he needs to do, and that's just keep it clean and stay within 6 seconds of Blizzard. And the way the championship will look after this one, as we will leave here and go on to our Christmas and New Year break. So there's no racing at all from One Hub next week. We will be back in the new year for round 15, which I think is Russia, but I'm not too sure with my calendar. But as it stands then in the Drivers' Championship, if it stays as it is and Louis takes the win, Blizzard takes P2. Louis will go into the Christmas break on 285 points. Blizzard will be in second place on 174? Yes, 174. So that's a different swing then of something like 114 points, 113 points, something like that. So Louis then will have could afford to retire from round 15, 16, 17, 18, and even if Blizzard won all those 4 races, Louis would still have about a dozen points to the good. So yeah, I think if I was a betting man, I'd probably be putting my mortgage on Louis taking down this championship at this point, because there's going to be 7 races to go and he's got over 100 points in the good as Louis just defends the inside coming into the first chicane. Oh, a little bit of a love tap there from the Red Bull driver. No harm, no foul, just letting him know he's there. As for everyone else, well, Onyx will stay in 3rd place in the championship despite not being here tonight. A few more points for Midnight will consolidate his position in P4, and same for Paris in P5. In the constructors then, 25 points are going away of McLaren. They'll definitely hold on to their championship lead. The Red Bull team are looking at picking up 28 points as it stands, but they will not be close enough to getting past Williams because Paris is doing a good job with those 15 points. So not much will change in the constructors or the driver standings towards the top of the order. Further down it may very well do. Louis and the McLaren team doing everything right really to try and claim a double championship, and if Louis does take down the drivers championship, which I think everyone is expecting at this point, even Louis himself, it will be a mammoth achievement if he manages to pretty much single-handedly win the constructors championship as well, because Wommer's picked up a few points. Other than that, it's all been Louis. 98% of the points that the McLaren team have scored have come from the man that we are looking at here, coming around to start lap 25 of 27. He's dropped Blizzard a little bit, so the Red Bull driver won't have an opportunity to get past into turn 1 unless Louis makes a mistake or Blizzard absolutely sends it. And he is gaining, coming down into the braking zone. Does he go for it? No, he wasn't close enough. Wise decision there for Matthew. Oh, another little tap there onto the back of the McLaren driver. Sam picks up a 3-second time penalty, changes nothing. So we'll move away then as we now come into the final few laps here. Paris safe in 3rd, I feel. Although Lakitu is gaining, but Lakitu does have time penalties as well. Sam is a long way back in 5th and just sort of circulating around, waiting to claim the 10 points, which might be his. Calzo is 11 seconds back, going around on them soft tyres. Yogurt, we know, has left the session. I'm not too sure if he'll be classified. I don't think he will. He left the session many laps ago, so it'll be Midnight then. It'll be promoted into P7. As for everyone else further down, well, starting with Matt, he crashed out early on. Brettster then, he retired on track after crashing on the exit of the Parabolica, the final corner here. His car didn't ghost. It turned into being AR controlled as it usually does, and he got in the way of both Wommer and Midnight as well. Wommer crashed into him, had nowhere to go. His race was over through no fault of his own, and Midnight, the reason why he was so far back was had his front wing taken off and had to do a full racing lap here at Monza before he can get back into the pit. Chapelele crashed, Pablo Yogla crashed as well. We've seen Calzo off the road, Yogurt crashed and rage quit the session. Midnight has had to make a pit stop for a new front wing. Sam Gamers had a spin as well, so only a few drivers out there have managed to keep their race pretty much clean. And TNR Zexa, I think it is, can you put on the telemetry? Yep, I had it on, so that's okay. It's all up on screen there, so we can have a look at the ERS as it stands anyway, with just a couple of laps to go. You can see there that Louis pretty much is down into the 20s. Blizzard has quite a lot as well. We can save ERS really running in the wheel tracks of the McLaren driver, but for those of you that have joined in the last couple of hours, Louis, to my knowledge, has no time penalties. Blizzard has at least 6 seconds, so if you guys are out there thinking, oh my god, this is going to be a battle to the finish, not really, unless Louis loses it. This is pretty much P1 and P2. But P3, P4 is still undecided. Calzo and Midnight back in the pits for more soft tyres as they tried to go for the fastest lap. So Lakitu then has now caught, very impressively I might add, in the last couple of laps. So look at it, straight up the inside into the Escara chicane. The Mercedes driver is not messing around here. This is a genuine battle, I feel, for P3 because both drivers have penalties, and I think they may very well be on the same amount of penalties here. Lakitu has used a lot of ERS. Look at that, he's almost out. Paris, though, how much has he got? He's got quite a lot, so I think Paris is going to come back at the Mercedes driver as they come out of the Parabolica chicane. They're now on to the final lap. Blizzard and Louis are exchanging positions at front. It changes nothing, it means nothing. The only difference is Blizzard will be the first one across the line. Louis almost comes back at him here. He's a bit unsure about the fact that Blizzard broke a little bit early. Here comes Paris in, back up the inside and past into P3 again. So this is a good little battle then for the final podium spot. Sam all on his own in P5. Calzo trying to take down the fastest lap. You can see there, fresh set of soft tyres. ERS down into 0. He's absolutely going to go for it on the final lap. Yogurt disconnected. Midnight a long way back in P8. So Blizzard and Louis then first and second on track. It should be second and first once penalties sort themselves out, unless I've missed something. But Paris and Lakitu, this is a good battle over third. I'm not too sure on the penalty situation for both of these drivers. Both of them have penalties. I'm not too sure how many. So that will probably be decided by penalties once they come across the line. And into the Ascari chicane for the 27th and final time. It's been difficult for some of these drivers to maintain composure and maintain their focus in this race. With so few numbers that started and even fewer that are going to be finishing. But it's Blizzard then who's going to cross the line in P1, but it's going to be Louis that will take down the eventual race win, unless of course I've missed penalties somewhere. Blizzard crosses the line. He does cross the line in P1. Louis behind. The positions have been exchanged as you would expect, but this is a better battle. P3, who takes the final podium spot, Paris or Lakitu? It is the Mercedes driver of Lakitu who has fewer penalties. That's all it was, fewer penalties, and the Mercedes driver does get on to the podium. Sam then picks up another 3-second time penalty for yeeting it over the curbs there at the Ascari chicane, weaving from side to side, showing his delight at putting a difficult last few races behind. Don't lose it at the Parabolica, you'll look stupid, but he does come across the line and to pick up P5, puts it in the wall for good measure as well. Calzo a long way behind, absolutely going for it then. He's 6 tenths up on his previous best. It might just be enough here for Calzo to take down the fastest lap. The Renault driver has had a quiet race, but he's on course here. If he can just get the last corner right here to get past Midnight, who crosses the line in P8 a lap down. He holds the fastest lap at the moment, but can Calzo do it? Coming out onto Parabolica for the final time, using all of his ERS, all of his fuel, everything he's got. And does Calzo take it? He does. At the very end, the Renault driver picks up an extra point for the fastest lap. So congratulations then to Louis and the McLaren team. Yet another race win. By dint of having fewer penalties than Blizzard, he takes down the 25 points and yet again extends his championship lead even further. Blizzard then, I think he'll be a bit disappointed with the time penalties, but it's still a good P2 nevertheless. And Lakitu manages to get past Paris by having less penalties himself to claim the final podium spot. There we go then. Louis had no penalties. Blizzard had 9. Blizzard had 9 seconds worth of penalties in the end. Lakitu and Paris, their podium positions were switched because Lakitu had only 3 seconds, Paris had 6. So Lakitu does take down P3, Paris 4th. Sam Gamer had 15 seconds worth of penalties, but has risen well from his qualifying ban of 13th to pick up his best result of the season in P5. Calzo does claim the fastest lap, so the 8 points will now be turned into 9 for the Renault driver. LR Yogurt will not be classified. He retired many laps ago, so Midnight will be promoted to P7. So he lost Yogurt, Pablo Yogla, Chapalele, Wama, Brettster and Matt Tibos. A very carnage start to this race. It settled down in the second half of it, as it was always going to do with so few cars out on circuit, but I'm sure that the drivers will have something to say to each other after this race, and the stewards will have a very busy evening as well. So then it's now up to my decision to come up with the 2 Driver of the Day nominations. These will be nominated by me, as I am a solo commentator, and they will be released by the One Hub Racing Twitter page in the next couple of days. It's a difficult one, this, but I am going to give... I mean, when there's like 7 drivers finishing and I've got to pick the best 2 out of it, it doesn't really give me that many options. Now, Louis has spoke to me in the last couple of weeks and says, why don't you give me Driver of the Day nominations anymore? I said, well, you're winning every race, it's a bit pointless. But he hasn't had a nomination for a while, so my first one will go to Louis from 3rd in the grid. Great start, took the lead of the race, had no penalties in the race, and maybe that's the reason why you should have Driver of the Day. He had no penalties, had a nice little battle with Blizzard there towards the end, which meant nothing really. They both knew that Louis was going to win that race. So I think one vote will go to Louis, and I think the second one will go to Sam, actually, Sam Gamer. Yes, there was only 13 drivers. Yes, only half of them actually finished, but he did have a qualifying ban. Yes, he had 15 seconds worth of time penalties, but I think most of them were just silly mistakes. But he did rised up through the field. He kept it relatively clean, kept out of the way of all the accidents as well, and by dint of just finishing this race, he has picked up his best result of the season, which I know he'll be very, very happy at. So my 2 Driver of the Day nominations, which will be released in the next couple of days, is for ILRT Louis for the race win for McLaren, and Sam Gamer from rising from 13th to 5th. Some of you may agree, some of you may not. It doesn't really matter. Those are my options. So there we go then. For the final time in 2019, not on 2019, but in 2019, that has been another race from the Prestige tier in One Hub. I wish each and every single one of you, for the drivers, the commentators, all the admins, and of course you wonderful guys and girls that tune in each and every week to watch the 4 races take place on a Friday night, a very Merry Christmas and have a wonderful New Year, and I'll see you guys yet again in a couple of weeks' time. Bye bye.